Yeah, it's good to hear you guys too. I'm actually on time this time. So,
Yay,
Okay.
good for you. I know we're not on Eastern time. Good.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Holiday, it's too bad she couldn't be here, but I think she's swamped with her uh I think she's doing a book on poetry and that's coming out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so she wasn't comfortable spending too much more time with this project, but I know she sends her best.
Right.
Yeah. I understand. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did the first transcription go? Did you copy down all our pearls of wisdom?
I don't think I was recording.
Oh, well, you're recording this one, right?
Yeah, I got it this time. I got
I'll
it this
try not
time.
to say anything mean about Holiday then.
That's fine. It's fine. Oh, actually, try not to. Please try not to.
Ah, no, you should be saying it the other way, like one of those, shock jocks like Howard Stern. Please say something inflammatory, please.
No, it's like you guys talk to each other like sisters, just like the Sun Bonnets.
The Barra Country Jamboree, that's right. Lauri, I wanted to put the spotlight on you for a second. May I?
You may.
Well, Lauri was such a great comedian and also a great singer. But you know what? One
Oh.
of the best things about her that not a lot of people know is what a coach she is. And
Well,
so when I say this, I am going to preface this by saying two things you did, Lauri, that have always knocked my socks off. When things weren't going well somehow in the world of your relationships, you use the phrase, now the safety net is gone. That means the only thing that can happen is I got to pull myself up. And it was so strong because you were going through it. Do you remember that?
no,
Ah, ah.
but I'm glad you do.
Well, it was inspiring. It was inspiring to me. And
I'm glad.
the other one is I've told this so many times, and Anaya, um, you know, after this relationship thing kind of blew up, um, the way I remember it is that you, Lauri, were looking, possibly for another relationship, yeah. And so you went on the online dating, and where everybody else puts up their best featured, best, and then they meet they meet him on a date, and it's like,
Right.
ew, that's not what you look. You don't even sound like it. So what Lauri did was she put down all the warts, and everything that wouldn't be considered,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly alluring, let's say. And then didn't you say, and then if you can get past this page,
And
swipe,
yeah.
and you'll, and then
Yeah. Okay. Feel free to respond.
that's it.
I'm very happy and I don't need you. Feel free to respond.
That's great. And one, I could be
One
wrong.
response, and I have been
One
with him
guy
for 26 years.
that have been married. They got married, Anaya. One
Yeah.
responder.
That's the best way to do it, honestly.
Isn't it? Why go through all of that bullshit at some cafe and you're like, oh God, how did I get here? And just like, weed out the ones that you don't really care about. So anyway, those two coaching tips have always stayed with me.
Thanks, Diane.
You're welcome. Thank
And
you.
you're
Oh
welcome.
wait, there's another one I just remembered.
Uh,
I know
uh,
I'm hogging the show, but I'm hogging it for you, Lauri. One time when I was having some slowdown in my career, I was like, Lauri, what do I do to make these jobs happen? And you said, do you ever notice the wallpaper, or do you ever notice the color of the eyes of the engineer? Do you ever notice, something like, do you ever get there and be present? And I just thought, no, I've never really noticed the color of their eyes. I mean, it's always like, hey, please like me, like me, like me. And you taught me to be there, present. And thank you for that.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah. Just be there, be in the
Thanks.
moment.
You're welcome. Yeah, be present.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to get yourself present. Really,
Yeah, it's
just
like the practice.
one action outside of yourself, like looking at, the Japanese face of the mask up there in your behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have like an opening. Sometimes there's a conversation there, or you're just there. Like, wow, that tells me something about Diane Michelle. I really use that. And sometimes, I forget and I'm in my head because, as you know, Anaya, the work we do is performance on demand. So when the red light comes on and they're paying you $3,000 for 5 words, you better give it your all and you better be focused.
Yep.
So there's a certain amount of pressure.
Wow.
And if you can be present and maybe joke with them a little bit, or even if you know them from before, say, hey, didn't you go to Alaska since I last saw you? Yes. So then they get comfortable as well.
Yeah. Well, you gave me all those deep philosophical answers, and I'm just looking at my Country Bear questions, and they look so silly now.
No, there are no silly questions in the world of Disney.
But do you remember which characters like you played? Like, do you remember them deeply? Because I know you probably didn't stay with them very long, because you just had to sing.
No, and I think Holiday is wrong about that. I think I was Beulah.
Yeah, I do too.
You were Bubbles.
Yes.
I was Beulah.
She was Bunny.
Bunny. Yeah. I wasn't Bunny. That didn't fit.
I know. And I don't think well, let's just say we weren't deep into it, Naya.
No,
it was more like, you're going to sing that part, you're going to sing that part, and you'll be in that part. And George Wilkins was, like I said before, such a great arranger, composer. I don't think his strength was lyrics. Were they, Lauri, or was it more?
No, they weren't
music.
No.
So yeah, he was more on the music side of things. And we weren't great readers, so you couldn't just hand her a chart and say, read it down. Now we practice once, do it. He kind of had to sing it for us or have his piano player do it. I think that's how it went.
Right.
But we were also very good at performing. So when he said, these girls are kind of Southern, just hear them sleigh bells ringling, ding, ding, ding-a-ling, too. Come on, it's lovely weather. So you weren't going to do it like, just hear those sleigh bells ringling, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, so you had to give it an accent.
Right. But that leads me to my next question. It's like, how did auditions go? Because Dave Durham, the voice of Wendell, and Liverlips said that he was in the studio auditioning. He was groaning, sniffling, and whimpering like a bear.
We didn't have to audition, honey. He hired 3 of us. Right? He knew us from the group that Diane told you about last time. This group that was designed for people in the entertainment industry called Impact, and that's where the 3 of us met. Yeah. And George also was in that group, and he knew of us. We had formed this trio called the Goyles, and George knew of us, so he just hired us to do it.
No audition necessary.
Nope.
And in our world, that is such a beautiful thing. That's like right. It's like a gift when they don't make you jump through all the hoops. They're like, I believe in you. I'll put my reputation on it. And of course you have to deliver, but we not only delivered once, we delivered again for the second show 2 years later.
Right.
I did some research. I wrote down that the first show was 84, and then the second one after that was 86, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think they were triplets. I think they were supposed to be identical triplets.
Yeah. I don't think anybody really knows who's who. I didn't know who was who till they put their names on their dresses.
Right. Oh, but one thing I'll tell you is when we used to go to Disneyland, they'd have these postcards that they sold, maybe in Main Street. But at any rate, I definitely still have a few of the ones that have Bunny, Bubbles, and Beulah. It's like a cheesy, really full, strong color photograph of them. But the other character that I liked a lot was, do you remember she came down from the ceiling?
Yes, Teddy Barra?
Yeah, Teddy Barra. and she was like on a swing, and she was crying the blues.
Yeah. She was crying the blues. Who was that? Who did that voice?
Yeah, who did that, Anaya?
Genia Fuller Cruz.
Huh? Don't know her.
She used to be Olympic.
That was a great part, and her little pink kind of tutu or something you could see.
Yeah.
And then she went back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we came up out of the floor, I think, and then back down.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Out of the floor.
See, Lauri, yeah, that's the only way you can go in that career is up until they take you back down.
Right.
Which brings me to another question. Did you perform with everybody else in the studio, or was it separate?
These were separate sessions.
Oh.
Yeah, everybody had their own call time, and our call time, I think it was in the evening, and I think it lasted a couple hours, maybe 3. That's a normal amount. And George was there, and I think a piano player. The track wasn't, or maybe the track was late already. You know what I mean? The backing music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so we could do as many takes as we needed to get it just right. And the California, I wish they all could be California Bears. That was great too. You know, 2 of us, I think, were doing kind of a background. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah,
yeah.
And then East Coast Bears, I really dig. I think that might have been Holiday. Or me, but I think we took turns. Maybe that was you, Lauri, the second one.
Oh, I didn't do that one. I didn't do that.
Well, at any rate, I mean, it was an entree. There wasn't anybody that gave us feedback that was negative, right, Lauri? No one said
we
come
only
back.
We were done very quickly, as I recall.
Exactly.
And they were
no redos, and then it was up and running, and we got to go see it. That was a thrill.
That was just so weird to see those animatronics pop up and hear my voice and your voice coming out of there.
Right. It was a blast. But
it lasted. They kept it for years.
They did.
They kept it for years, and it was at the Disneyland in Disney World in Florida,
Orlando. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think it was in Paris, was it?
It was in Japan. Oh my god, they blew up in Japan. They love them. They love all the Country Bears.
I think I'm gonna have to register a complaint, because there was some show that was about bears, and it was really not that successful, but it was successful enough, and it kind of ousted our show. And then they called it what was it, Anaya? It was like it was a movie that they were trying to kind of reboot.
Disney?
Yeah.
It was just called the Country Bears movie.
Yeah. And then they had different voices and stuff. I don't think we were still in there.
No, not at that time. Actually, I think by that time, 2001, I think that they had stopped showing the Christmas and the actually, I think Country Bears just closed in Disneyland.
Yeah.
It was still in Disney World.
I see. But the Country Bears has nothing to do with the Sun Bonnets, right?
No.
See, that's the problem. I mean, I've sung at Disneyland over the years with different groups, but over the time, they'll take away like the Main Street Parade. And you're like, what? That's an institution. Well, you know, the kids want to see something different. And then they bring it back because it's so iconic. People love the old stuff.
I cannot keep up with all the refurbishments. I tried, but tomorrow, the Country Bear Musical Jamboree is debuting in Disney World.
No kidding. That's pretty cool. Well, what else do you have on your list? I can't think of anything more exciting to share on my end, but do you have more questions?
Oh yeah, who was your favorite bear in the Country Bears? I know it might be hard because there's a lot of them.
Liver Lips.
Do you like Liver Lips, Lauri?
Yeah, he was so funny. Yeah. It was a great voiceover.
Yeah. And I liked the gal that came down from the ceiling and sang the blues.
The blues.
Right. My favorite bear is I would say Wendell.
Yeah. Wasn't he like the MC sort of?
No, that was Henry. Wendell was the one who, I think in the Christmas version, he was singing about how he was lost in the woods and he fell in the river.
Yeah.
And he had the big shotgun. That was Wendell.
Yeah,
Then
okay.
in
I vaguely remember. Oh, I like the you're sitting there in the theater the whole time and you're looking at these like heads, and then all of a sudden they start to move the big buffalo head. That was kind of cool because you weren't expecting it.
I know. I remember seeing that when I was a little girl, and I was I was scared of the bears and the talking heads.
I mean, I was a little freaked out by Lincoln. You know that.
Oh yeah.
You go down there like, what? Wait, huh? And it was just sort of this slow kind of moving, and it was freaky. It's presaging what we have now with robots and everything the AI is going to give us. Oy. I'm nervous about that. What advice do you have, Coach?
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous about it.
Okay.
They're going to do what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you keep like a hatchet in your closet though? I mean, seriously, this is, in case you have to dismantle the thing.
The Country Bear's gonna come after you?
Or Lincoln.
Or Lincoln.
It's like, I've been watching too many Twilight Zones, I think, but I can just see them. They're not now we control them, they control us. And it's here. I mean, I can't even say it's the future. AI is here. Do you use it, Anaya? Like chatbot GPT?
No. It's just not, with the way it is now commercial, it's just, I don't see a place for it right now. And art?
Okay. I think there's writers that are using it. I think there's artists that are creating with it. It's like a fountain or a huge reservoir of ideas that the computer can put together, and then you can riff on it. You don't have to steal it exactly. You just come up, oh wow, I never thought I could go that way, for a story.
Yeah.
Or a painting. Yeah.
I think it really does depend on application, but I don't think it's going to replace animatronics or like musicians. Not right now, no.
No, I don't think so either. Thank God. Lauri, we're just going to be able to finish our careers in the nick of time.
Yeah, I'm done.
You saw AI coming and you said, I'm done.
I'm done. I'll deal with that crap.
Well, it's definitely crap when you have to, deal with it. But I got a job tomorrow. I am playing it's a audiobook.
Great.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I love the audition process still. I still love, just this week, one was like an anime kind of a scared mom, and one of them was a high society lady in Santa Barbara, and one was a street person, and another was just selling some kind of, generic medicine. I think it's a challenge for me, and you're great at it too, Lauri, with the characterization. And so for me, it's fun still, and I guess I'll stay in like June Foray. Look her up, Anaya. June Foray, who was in it till 98. 98.
98 years old?
98. She's still doing sessions. She's not alive anymore. But she's kind of my idol. She was, Rocky of Rocky and Bullwinkle, and she was Tweety and Granny and Tweety on Warner Brothers. Do you spread out your interests from Disney, or are you mostly just a Disneyphile?
I think it spreads out. Like I just got into Lucky Luke of all things.
Lucky Luke? Who's that?
He's a cowboy with his horse Jolly Jumper.
Oh, Jolly Jumper. I've heard of him. Yeah.
And I just got into that like 2 weeks ago. But
what era is that cartoon from?
oh, I was reading the comic books. It goes from 1946 to now.
Cool. That's neat.
Wow.
And
I know. I love comics that turned into animation. There's a lot of them.
mhm.
And you know, Disney, of course, like we were up in the mountains yesterday. My husband said, wait, Bambi wasn't created by the Disney folks? I said, no, Bambi is a story that was written by, I think his name is Felix something, and it's much darker than what they put in the movie. It's like The Wizard of Oz by Frank Baum. It's a way different story than what, you know, they made at MGM. So people take ideas, and Disney was great at that, from either, you know, existing fairy tales or books that they found interesting. And then, I mean, the artwork, the fantastic artists that they had.
Disneyfied it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you were talking about spreading out interest, when I found out that the voice actors for the Country Bears were credited, I went to go find some of your guys' music, and I didn't realize how many of them were already musicians prior, like Dave and Harry Middlebrooks, and I think her name is Suzanne Sherwin.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't I was so surprised.
You know, it's always been interesting to me, and Lauri, you've known this as well. They're close cousins. Acting and singers, they're very close cousins. And a lot of singers become voiceover actors or just on-camera actors, and vice versa.
Right.
Yeah, creative people. Lauri, what was I going to say about? Oh yeah, I have another recognition from my friend Lauri Johnson. Or to you, I should say. When we first started with Mel Wells' workshop.
Mel Wells. Oh God.
And he said, I always tell that people, he was in this same group with George Wilkins, Laurie Holiday, me, and about 100 others. And he said to me, I know you're trying to be a singer, but have you ever thought about doing voiceovers? And I said, what are they? And he said, well, I'm teaching a class. Would you like to come? It's at the Ramada or something, Beverly Hills. And you and I signed up. Doss Butler was one of the guest speakers. Look him up, Anaya. Doss, D-A-W-S, Butler. And also, I'm not trying to talk down to you. I'm just saying it's a great name to follow.
No, I understand. I understand.
And then I think his name was Don Pitts. He was an agent for people like June Foray and Orson Welles and
Diane.
And
You're
so,
a pearl. Wow.
Yeah. And so you were the one that got me into Doss Butler's class. Because your dad knew him somehow, and you had taken a couple classes, and then I studied with him. I lived in Beverly Hills. He was only 5 blocks from me.
He is responsible for training the gal that does Bart Simpson, Anaya.
Oh.
Yeah.
He trained her. She worked with him for years.
Yep.
And but he himself was known at Hanna-Barbera for doing all kinds of voices.
Right. And also the ones for Jay Ward, you know, Rocky and Bullwinkle and the Fractured Fairy Tales. He was so talented as a mimic. You know, he used to be on stage with his act, and then he came to Hollywood and started doing. He was only about 4'9".
Yeah, short.
He was the sweetest man. And another person who studied with him was the voice of Goofy. What's his name?
Bill Farmer?
Yeah, Bill. Yep. And a bunch of other people that made it big. One of the gals on South Park now, Mona Marshall, she was a student of his. I had a little kind of a memorial to him a few years ago, and a bunch of students came. It's on my website if you want to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Tribute to Das Butler. I told you about it, Lauri, but you weren't able to come. But anyways, thanks to you, I can trace it all the way back to you saying, well, I'll tell him, you want to study with him, and then we'll see what he says. And he used to teach out of his converted garage and charge like $5, and he served us cookies. Who does that?
Wow. What
Classes
kind
are
of cookies?
$300, and they don't serve you cookies, and it's not in a converted garage. It's, he was so generous. He came to
Wow.
our wedding. Remember that, Lauri? You and Holiday
Yeah.
sang, and Das was there with Murtis.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to draw the attention away from the Bear Country Jamboree, but to be honest, it happened so fast. Another person that I was thinking about was our choreographer, Andy Kaiser. He was a great guy too.
I think I heard of him. I think one of the directors, Dave Fighton, talked about Andy in a
Andy
podcast.
he was in Chorus Line, right, Lauri?
Yeah, he was in the second coming of Chorus Line.
Yeah, the LA version.
Yeah.
And we got sent back to Virginia where his mom lived, and they wanted us to perform and raise some money for a school there that had his name attached, for a scholarship. Those were great trips, and he was a great.
I was pregnant. When we did that trip.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I remember.
So that would have been like 83 or so, or
86. That's in the 86.
Wow.
That's the same year we did the Bear Country Jamboree.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did a lot of while I was pregnant.
I mean, yeah. We do what we get. That's why voiceover is so great.
It is.
You're not, squeezing into some sequin tight dress. You just, it's my voice.
Oh,
I had a session at Hanna-Barbera when I was 8 months along. 8 months, and went in, and they had me do. There were 3 different roles. They were small. They're all women who were pregnant. They got the biggest kick out of the fact that I was like huge.
Yeah. That's funny. They didn't know no, you didn't say anything. That's funny.
wow.
Well, that wasn't exactly a stretch then. You were cut out for that.
Exactly.
Yep. Oh, well, I had something kind of like that where CNN was doing something, and Tress McNeil and Michael Bell were in the voice casters, and I happened to be there, and I wasn't supposed to be on camera, but because I was pregnant with Nicole, the person who was doing the interviewing said, wait a minute, you're going to read for a femme fatale, and you're 7.5, whatever months pregnant, and you can do that? I said, yeah, it's the voice acting. It's the beauty of the voice acting. And that came on CNN. It was a little snippet.
Wow.
You didn't have to worry about makeup. You didn't have to worry about what you wore.
Yeah. You could even mask, a little cold if you had it. I mean, that might show up more in the voice, but sometimes it would work if it was kind of husky and that type of thing.
Yeah.
They used to say, give me more of that husky, throaty sound. And you're like, no, I got to get sick again. Oh.
Wow. How did you, was the Country Bears your first Disney role?
I think so.
The only Disney. For me, it was you went on to do Daisy. You've done Daisy.
Yes, that's right. Daisy's a lot of what I've done for Disney, a lot. And then I think I told you last time we were together, I did this thing called, you'll look it up, it's called Circle Vision. That was at Disneyland. It was this show. And, it was like a a circular screen, which was
Oh yeah.
yeah, and
Mm.
it was through PSA Airlines, I think, and it was called "All Because Man Wanted to Fly." It was a George Wilkins song,
Wow.
and it was followed by B.J. Ward and some other people doing kind of like a modern airs, but my part was more opera. And then after that, I think it was partly because they knew me from those two roles that Daisy Duck was given to me, but that was in 1990. I think Disney has so many arms, like a gigantic octopus, that they don't always know. Oh, she did Bubbles the Bear, and she's Daisy Duck, and she sings in the Carnation stage with the Goyles. Oh, that's the same lady? I don't think they put it together.
Mm. Yeah, I think isn't about who's available or who's closest.
Not usually.
Oh,
Oh, because voice can
Auditions
be
are
remote. I mean, people have done voice work from across the country. They can get it
yeah,
that they don't have to show up at that studio.
right. Back in the days, in the 80s, I think it was more common to use LA talent or New York talent, but because Disney is here. I also think, well, your question is sort of making me think, Anaya, that would they use who's around, but Disney is so careful about their
yeah,
image that they're never going to want to have any kind of bad, publicity or fallout, so that they're pretty strict about who they screen and use and audition and then bring to the next thing. And I feel lucky because I still do Daisy Duck, but most of the time it was bigger in the 90s. And also, I think I told you last week I got to do Mrs. Potts. And before
yes,
that, I've done some character. She's called Clarice. She's Chippendale's girlfriend.
yeah.
I don't understand how Chip and Dale could have the same girlfriend.
I learned about her from I think it was Disneyland Paris. I saw
Uh,
the suit and I was like, I don't know who this is. 'Cause it was so new
I think
to
it's
me.
me because I was working with people from Paris, but who knows? At any rate, Disney is very careful and they're very high bar. They don't want to just, have fly by night. They want someone they can depend on. And so I'm not, the only one who's done Daisy Duck. There's been quite a few over the years.
Hmm.
And the most recent one is an African American woman. Her name is, you'll look it up. She's a friend. I know her pretty well. She was on Mad TV.
Oh, but when
Which
it
is
comes,
cool because I think the characters, traditionally have all been, well, for the most part, white people, and it seems only fair that if it's a character that could be considered for a different ethnic background, that they should. So anyway, they did.
yeah, I think it's more of well, since it's voice work, I think it's just more about how they sound, like what fits the
True.
character.
But I think you can also agree, and I don't want to get too deep into this, that it's been a little bit of a closed club. And it's better now that we're having different people. Yeah, if they sound right for the role, then that's good. They got it.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter what they look like. But the bottom line is they didn't get up to bat so much in the past. And that's changing a little bit.
We got about 3 minutes left. What I wanted to ask, you said that she's your friend. Do you still keep in touch with people from the Country Bear days?
Well, what would you say, Lauri?
No.
She's closer to Tom Cruise, Lauri is.
Yeah, right. Very funny.
Who she's been in a movie with or two, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think so. I'm not even sure what George is doing, but I think he's still up in Northern California. I looked him up.
Hmm.
You should reach out to him. He's such a great, giving, generous person.
I'll see if I can find him.
Yeah.
Does he have like I'll find him.
You'll find it, yeah. I think I wrote down like Paso Robles or that kind of area, Northern California. But when you talk to him, if you reach out to him, say Diane and Lauri and Holiday are thinking of him and saying thank you for all those years ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would love to hear that.
Yeah.
But like
he opened the door. But thank you, Anaya, for taking the time again to follow up. Your questions were really good.
Yeah.
And if you want to reach out again, that's fine. But I think Lauri and I, we may have kind of covered those sessions because they were pretty brief. Do you agree, Lauri?
Yep.
Yeah.
I do.
It caught me off guard because I thought everybody auditioned.
No. We would probably have had to. If George hadn't been involved, there would probably have been. But I have a feeling because it was written for a trio, and he knew us. It was right away. He probably said, "Oh, I got the trio covered."
Well, but since we got less than 50 seconds left, I just wanna close with this question. If you had the opportunity to come back as the Sun Bonnets, would you do it?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Just hear them sleigh bells jingling ring.
Well, thank you
can't
for
keep
coming.
a good bear down. Thanks, you guys. Mwah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, sweetie. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.